Hello and welcome back to the Movie Pope podcast. And today we are going to be taking a look at the trailer for Cheech and Chong's last movie. Now, Lee, you have no idea who these two are, or you're not too
I
familiar
know
with
who
their work.
Cheech and Chong are, right? I've never seen any of their stuff. I don't know. Like, I just know they're the guys that smoke a lot of weed. I guess that's my whole idea for them. Like, I've seen them and stuff. I remember one of them popped up in that '70s show, but I don't know anything about these two other than their proclivity for smoking.
Now, you're not really, just out of curiosity, you're not really much of a fan of the pothead humor kind of thing. That's not really your lane.
I would say no. That's not a high list of things that I go to watch for. So this is not anything I have any type of, any type of background in. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, today we're just going to look at the trailer, and Lee, you just give us your thoughts on it. Because as the movie Pope,
Okay.
you should be. I always like to keep you on your toes. We can't always have you watching Marvel stuff and then you commenting over and over again. I like to surprise you every now and then. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Yeah, let's check this out. Oh, okay. Well, that didn't take too long to get to what I thought it was going to be about.
Their films have earned over $200 million.
See, that surprised me right there. Just the amount of money that they've earned.
I mean, if they've done a whole bunch of films, I feel like you just kind of will make money one way or another.
Southwest of fucking nowhere. We're not in the middle yet. So is this a documentary or a movie?
I don't know, man. All we can do is be funny. Am I driving okay?
You kind of have to be, on the weed in order to understand their humor. You know what I mean?
Hey, this is what they really laugh
No, I don't know what you
What do we
mean.
call ourselves?
Richard and Tommy? No.
Tommy and Dick? No. Cheech and Chong.
That was it.
We were making up this method as we were going along.
I got the tape recorder set up.
Dave, come on, man, open up. I think the cops.
Dave's not here.
It definitely feels like a documentary.
The movie comes out, it's a giant hit. Giant.
It's not hard to see what drugs do to you. Make you rich.
But money and success might
How
spoil them.
successful were these movies, actually? I actually have no idea.
Well, it said earlier they made like 200 million overall. So
Well, sure, but if you made like 20
Nothing lasts
films,
forever,
like,
Tommy.
is that...
Nothing lasts forever.
Well, I mean, also keep in mind they kind of catered to to that generation where it was pretty
Sure, of
much
course.
a thing.
Yeah,
It's
of
very
course.
painful sometimes. But he's my best friend.
It's yin and yang, Cheech and Chong.
It's kind of like how for us,
Stuff that
it's kind of like how for us, The Hangover, was the go-to film, for our generation.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
So 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 The Hangover was to us what Cheech and Chong was to our parents or grandparents.
Okay, I can get behind that. And I will have to say, right, it is really cool that these, two people have been able to, I guess, kind of course, it comes out on 422. So I guess props to them for that. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I will give these guys props, right? It's really cool to see these two guys do stuff for, decades, right? Like just being like lifelong friends, they're able to kind of stomach each other and be able to kind of enjoy that. I mean, will I watch this movie? No. I don't have any interest in these characters or anything like that. I will say, if it is like truly a documentary, or maybe kind of like just a a story of their
I think
friendship.
it is being presented as a documentary.
Okay.
'Cause-
I mean,
Yeah.
let me retract that then. I do have a little bit more interest knowing that, just because I'd be very curious to see more and know more about these two characters. Because, like I said, I know about them through the grapevine, right? It's hard not to know these two characters. We've seen them pop up a lot. So I guess they've absolutely, kind of stood the test of time, right? Because here we are in 2025 still talking about them. So, something clearly has to work, right? So, yeah, if it is a documentary that kind of, goes into more about kind of everything that they've gone through over their careers, then, I think there is some interest there. I just don't know, how engaging they'll be, but I guess have to wait and see when it comes out.
What's fascinating is the fact that they've been doing this for like 50 something years.
Yeah.
What fascinates me is the fact that they keep going back to the same wheelhouse. Like you think they try something new, but no, it's like No, man, like we're just two guys who are stoned out of our minds, and we're just gonna drive across the country and smoke weed and all that stuff, and get into a bunch of hijinks. I mean, it worked in the late '70s and early '80s, but it's one of those things where you kind of have to scratch your head and wonder, well, are they one-trick ponies? Like, now, don't get me wrong, they're very successful one-trick ponies, but you kind of wonder, like, is there any way that they could have kind of branched out from what they were doing? Because to your point, I mean, Tommy Chong made several, appearances on that '70s show, but he pretty much played himself,
Yes.
I mean, so there's nothing too different from there. Cheech, we've seen him try to do something different, but it's the misfortune of typecasting where people will always see him as like the short little guy with the giant, the giant weed, and they kind of force him back into it. But kudos to them. Kudos to them for making a career out of it.
Yeah. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you, right? Like, I think that's ultimately what it comes down to a lot of times. Like, sometimes you see people, unfortunately, they kind of get typecast as themselves, so to say, right? And I'll kind of say, like, for instance, I watched The Electric State the other day, and Chris Pratt's in that film, and Chris Pratt plays Chris Pratt, right? It's just who he is, right? You think about Deadpool, right, with Ryan Reynolds, right? I mean, Ryan Reynolds just plays Ryan Reynolds in so many of these films, but people still go back and see them. So I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong being a one-trick pony, right? I think it works for certain people, but I do think if you want to survive, you want to be able to branch out and do some other stuff, because we see people, like we just got done reviewing Mickey 17, right? Look at Robert Pattinson breaking out of the mold of being that, guy from Twilight to doing, other things that are out there. So, you can see sometimes it's kind of a curse to be like that, but then other times you see people be able to break the mold, and then they're, finding success in other areas. So,
I was gonna say, like, if you are going to be playing, one type of character, right? I would imagine it's the type of character that has a universal appeal, right? If you're playing like, this one type of character, but only like, a small section of the audience likes it, you're not going to get that far. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I guess I guess it just kind of depends on, like you said, like that mainstream appeal, like how appealing is it? Because there's like times where I'm kind of shocked at people liking a specific character, like Will Ferrell, right? Like, I've definitely had my ups and downs with what I think about him.
Well, it's mostly downs with you. Let's
correct. Yeah. I would definitely say that, but I think like over time it's been less of an issue. But like, I would look at it just like that. Like, sometimes, like, I'd be surprised that a character like that gets a lot of people enjoyment, but it works for people. So hats off to him for kind of doing that. That's what ends up working for him, and more power to him. So yeah, I think it's very interesting to see, like, you want to have that quote unquote mass appeal. Sometimes I'm just shocked that, there's a mass appeal for a certain type of person. So you never know. Like, I guess it's the moral of the story is you never know where it's going to land.
Well, this is Lee and Luca reviewing Cheech and Chong's last movie. Let us know down in the comments below what you think. Are you excited? Are you a stonehead who is very much keen on seeing Cheech and Chong's last romp on the big screen? Let us know down.
A real thing. I think you just made that word up.
Shut up. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Like, oh, Thomas. Oh, Richard.